What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another DFS, DraftKings, FanDuel, Yahoo, Underdog, whatever it is that you play. We're back with some more DFS content. Sticking with DraftKings, basically DraftKings is like the main one. They're the most generous with free rolls. They're the most popular. I've been using them for a very long time, so don't have no affiliate codes or anything like that, so don't be looking for none of that around here. I'm just going to give you the best information that I got and see where it goes. So, okay, first off, I got to talk about this past week. Okay, first off, what in the world kind of game did we see on Monday, man? That was one of the strangest games I've ever seen in my life. Mac Jones throwing 3 freaking passes, man. I was rolling, man. I was rolling until Damian went down with that hamstring injury. That's what killed that, and also thinking that it was thinking that Mac Jones was actually going to throw the ball a little bit more. But yeah, that game was wild. That game was odd. I'll just say that game was odd. And then Sunday, I know I had forgotten to make. I'm pretty sure I forgot to make a video. I can't even remember now. The weeks all blend together at this point. But anyway, yeah, I think I forgot to make a video this past Sunday. And man, the one tight end that I thought about rostering in like a core amount of my lineups just because of the matchup was Dallas freaking Goedert. Go dirt. Like, I thought about it. I was like, maybe he should be on my list. Maybe, I don't know anything. I don't know how Gardner Minshew is going to play. I don't know what type of Jets defense is going to show up. You know, the Philly has been such a like trap when it comes to some of their fantasy plays. And of course, this was the week they went off. I should have known, like, it was the Jets. But this is literally the type of game that they would lose and get blown out by. But anyway, all that aside, that's not why you're here. You're not here to hear me rant. You're here for some picks. So before I get too carried away. So we got, as you can see, I just picked, like, the free roll just to come in here and just, build a lineup. And I'll show you some of the lineups that I'm looking at. First, we'll look at the players in the at the king spot, MVP lineup, or MVP slot, and then some of the flex plays. We got Pittsburgh going to Minnesota. So this game should be really interesting, especially after Pittsburgh winning against Baltimore. That was a crazy game. And then Minnesota, of course. I picked them to win as far as actual picking games. And of course they would lose to the Lions. And that is such a Minnesota thing to do. Like they have been like winning some crucial games and winning games that they normally would have lost last year. And then this game, this was such a Minnesota Viking thing to do. They had it right there. They had it right there. All they had to do was just keep anyway. I mean, I'm glad that Detroit didn't go winless, but at the same time, of course, it had to be against the Vikings. And, of course, some of the Vikings players had decent games. But, so the main guy, of course, on the slate is going to be Justin Jefferson because Adam Thielen is out. I did start him this past Sunday. He had in a number of lineups. He had 11 catches for 182 yards and a touchdown. Monster day, 38 DraftKings points. Just an awesome game. He also added 4 yards on the ground. He's going to be even more relied on with Adam Thielen being out. Of course, Dalvin Cook, he's got that shoulder injury. I honestly don't think... Oh, wow, seriously? He returned to practice Tuesday. He was limited in that session and received the same listing on Wednesday's practice estimate. Really? I don't know. Man, I hate these. So obviously Dalvin Cook, but with that injury, Dalvin Cook has a history of trying to play through injuries and then having to come out of the game. You know what I mean? So if he is like questionable and then and at the last second they say he's gonna play, I don't know. Like, it's really one of those, high risk, high reward kind of deals. But I think if my memory serves me right, Dalvin Cook has a history of trying to play through injuries in games, and about halfway through he like taps out and is like, I can't do it. Whether it's a hamstring, whether it's an ankle, he's coming back from a dislocated shoulder, and against a physical Pittsburgh defense. I mean, don't look at that 22nd run defense. Look at the way that they play, the style of defense that they play. It's very physical. I don't know if I'd feel comfortable starting him. But again, it's one of those high risk, high rewards. That's up to you. Up to you to determine. I don't know if I'd start him in the captain spot. I would probably, if I could, maybe if he is playing in the game and is going to start, maybe I'll have a lineup or two with him in the flex. Quarterbacks, I'm not a big fan of playing quarterbacks in the captain spot unless it's a player like Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Russell Wilson, mobile players, players that can move around and have a rushing upside. Unless like the quarterback goes off for like 4 or 5 touchdowns and 300 plus yards, you're probably not going to get a ton of points out of him at the captain spot just because of the touchdown point differential. Isn't that true? Like, passing touchdowns are 4 points. Receiving touchdowns are 6. Yeah. So anyway, Deontay Johnson, this is probably the prime. I mean, he had 8 catches, 105, and 2 touchdowns against Baltimore. And going against this defense, it's prime. It's prime. Same with Harris. I'm interested in Harris, man. Every week, I keep saying this is the week, and this could be it. Thursday night football, strange things happen, man. This could be the week. And I'd say Alexander Mattison, I wouldn't be surprised if he got the start. He has been one of the most solid backups to Dalvin Cook. Whenever he gets the chance to start, he's always put up solid numbers. Big Ben, he could have a big night, but then again, like, it really comes down to game script. If they're running the ball successfully with Harris, Ben's probably not going to throw a lot of passes. He threw 31 passes, 236, and 2 touchdowns. One of his better games this year, to be perfectly honest. Much like his Chicago game, but he had a great game. His 3 touchdown game against the Chargers, which was surprising. But a lot of that stuff came in the second half. Of course, Thielen's out. Chase Claypool is one of my other favorites. He's still looking for that breakout game. He had a really good game against the Chargers. But he had against Denver. I think that was when Deontay Johnson was out. He had a great game against Denver. Had a great game against Cincinnati. But he hasn't had that consistent week to week, even though he is listed as the number 2 receiver. Freiermuth is probably one of my favorite tight ends. Even though like he's very touchdown dependent, but I feel like his upside is there. He has 6 touchdowns on the year as a rookie. And with Eric Ebron, I think he's still out. Or do they not have Ebron? Do they still have Ebron? I don't even know anymore. Yeah, he's on IR, so he'll have way more opportunities. Same with Tyler Conklin. I like him a lot too. He got involved a lot last week once Adam Thielen went down. 9 targets, 7 catches, 56 yards. He may have even more opportunities this week. But my favorite play this week with Thielen being down is KJ Osborne. This guy, like, you look at the first 2 weeks, he had 12 catches between those 2 games. He had almost 200. He had 76 and a 91, caught a touchdown in one of them. Double-digit fantasy points. He has the right here against Carolina, same deal, 6 for a touchdown, 6 catches, touchdown. This is prime. When Thielen went down, he got 4 catches, 47 yards, and a touchdown. This is prime time for him. So he's probably my favorite play if you wanted a punt option at the captain spot. Not really pump, but like a high reward, but like a medium risk. Just because he's going to be the number 2 receiver. Osborne's probably my favorite play, way more than James Washington. Washington, I think, is fine as like a mid to low tier flex play. Didn't do anything against Baltimore, but again, he's touchdown dependent. But if this turns into a high scoring game, he'll have more and more opportunities to catch the ball. Going down, Ray McLeod. Again, he's very, very touchdown dependent, even though he hasn't scored at all this year. He did catch 10 catches against the Lions in that tie, but I think that was after Deontay Johnson went down with injury. Outside of that, I'm not really too big on anybody else. Zach Gentry had a few catches last week. He had a catch against Cincy, not much. D.D. Westbrook, I'm not that big of a fan. He might get more opportunities. Obviously, with Adam Thielen, he's probably going to be the 3rd receiver, I believe, because I don't even know who the other receivers are for the Vikings. Smith Marset. I don't know any of these cats. So D.D. Westbrook could have an uptick. This is probably like if you're really looking for a low, cheap, like punt play, I think D.D. Westbrook is fine. He'll definitely be the 3rd receiver. He has starting experience from his time in Jacksonville, so it's not like he's some guy coming off the bench. Like, this is a pro. Like, he knows what he's doing. So I think he's your best option at punt play. But as far as my favorite captains, we'll just go back down the list: Jefferson, Johnson, Harris, Madison. If Dalvin Cook is out, if Dalvin Cook plays, then obviously disregard Madison altogether. And Chase Claypool. Just if you're going for a low tier captain that does have the potential for a big game, definitely Chase Claypool. As for flex, obviously it's the same ones: Jefferson, Cook if he's starting. I'd probably want to go with Cousins just because he's been having such a good year. He's only thrown 3 interceptions. I can't stress this enough. Quarterbacks that don't turn the ball over are your favorite quarterbacks to play. Now, the only thing that concerns me is his freaking fumbles. He's got 7 fumbles this year. He's only lost 2 of them, but he has fumbled the ball 7 freaking times. So that's the biggest thing with him. But he hasn't been throwing interceptions. Usually he's like a double-digit interception thrower, but he's only thrown 3. And for the amount of passes he's throwing per game, that's really good. This is probably his best year. He's already over 3,000 yards. He's already at 25 touchdowns. He's got a 106.3 rating. He's averaging over 20 fantasy points per game. And his completion percentage has been fantastic, in my opinion. 73 week 1, 68 week 2, 78 week 3. He had the bad game against Cleveland. 73 against Detroit. 68 week 6. 65 week 8. 60 week 9. So there's only been 2 games this year where he's been below 65% completion percentage. That's amazing, especially for a guy his age and for a guy who's had such an inconsistent career. So Kirk, by leaps and bounds, is my favorite quarterback play, and his price tag is starting to go up. But I still think $10,400 for a guy who's thrown 25 touchdowns and only 3 interceptions and has thrown over 3,000 yards is, is at 3,300 yards. I think is a good price in the flex. Ben at 9 is definitely an option, and this is a game where you can squeeze in both quarterbacks, and that's sometimes that's a lineup that wins or gets in the top 5 most of the time, especially quarterbacks like these two who are in offenses that do have a good amount of pass plays and rely on the passing game. I'll say this: if Dalvin Cook doesn't play, Kirk is in for a big night, in my opinion. If Dalvin Cook plays, but he's still feeling that shoulder a little bit, and Madison they split reps, still, I think Cousins is going to have a big game. So yeah, that's basically my pitch for Kirk Cousins. Hopefully this isn't the week where he decides to throw two or have a multi-interception game. Knock on wood, because then I'll have everyone come in and yell at me. But do what you want. Honestly, I try and keep my lineups even. I usually I try and split it, especially in games like this where both offenses are pretty good, both defenses have some holes that can be exploited. So this should be a high-scoring affair. They're playing in Minnesota in the Dome, so no weather to worry about. So I think this will be a fun game to watch. And favorite value plays. Let me go through those real quick. Definitely both tight ends. I like Conklin. I like Freiermuth. Freiermuth is starting to become a favorite target next to Deontay Johnson, of course, for Roethlisberger. Conklin, with Thielen going down, he was getting more looks. Osborne, 100% my favorite low cost option. And if you're going for a punt play, D.D. Westbrook is probably the best punt play at 2,200. As far as the Steelers go, you're looking at Freiermuth. I mean, you could go with James Washington, but that is a very high risk player because you're praying that he gets a touchdown. I mean, he did okay when Deontay Johnson was out, but he didn't do very much. So, I would try and build around some of the value options for Minnesota and then pay up for some of the Steelers' best players and start Kirk Cousins if you can. If you want to punt and put Osborne in the captain, that's where you could definitely fit in both quarterbacks. So we'll do that. Let's do that real quick. I don't want to make this video too long. I'm almost at 20 minutes. So we'll go Osborne. Oh, whoops, not in the captain. Here we go. So we'll go Osborne. Let's throw in Cousins and Roethlisberger. Let's throw in Freiermuth. Dang, do we go both tight ends? Conklin leaves us with 9,400. I don't know about that. If we do that, if we do Conklin, Freiermuth, then we have Chase Claypool. That's tough. Those are the type of plays that you're gonna have that you'd probably be stuck with. You could go. That's one lineup you could go with. You could go D.D. Westbrook. You're kind of leaving Justin Jefferson out to dry. I mean, you could play Justin Jefferson. You're only left with 9K after that. And you're going to be with Claypool, but I wouldn't advise doing that with playing three receivers because then you're really banking on D.D. Westbrook scoring a touchdown and Jefferson, catching 11 receptions and Osborne catching a touchdown and having a high number of catches. So I don't know if I'd go with that. What I would do is you could probably go, if you go Harris, no, you can't. So you could either do Deontay Johnson and Claypool. You could go Claypool and have an even keel, or if Cook is not playing, you have enough cap for Madison, and that's a lineup I really like. You're really taking a risk that Jefferson has just an average game, but there's an option for you. If you were to go Jefferson and say Freiermuth, and then you have 24, so if you were to do that, that's 66. You could take Westbrook out and put 46. I'm sorry, I'm lunching. Yeah, no, you're Ray McLeod, no. He could do one of the kickers maybe, like Boswell. I don't know how much of a fan of that I am, but I'm honestly more of a fan of having a kicker than I would having 3 Minnesota receivers. So not a big fan of that. So if you were to do Boswell, that's something I could get around. Yeah, because I really am not putting a lot of stock in Ray McLeod having much of a game. Yeah, so that's that for having both quarterbacks. So if we were to do just playmakers, let's do Freiermuth. Let's do Conklin, Johnson. And we got 82 left over. Chase Claypool. That's an okay lineup, I guess. If you went Fryer, say you didn't go Freiermuth, say you just went Conklin. You have 833. Let's say you put Harris in. You got 75. You could go Westbrook, and then you got enough for Jefferson, so that way you have 2 receivers and a tight end. But this is like obviously heavy on Minnesota. If you think Minnesota's going to dominate the game, that wasn't. I mean, you could do that and then like sub out like maybe. Like if you were to do that, you have 1,800. You take Tyler Conklin out, you got 8K. You can put Chase Claypool in, or you can put Pat Freiermuth in. I'd put Claypool in since you have Harris in there. If you don't do that, if you do Conklin, you have 12. Yeah, Deontay Johnson. You got Harris and Johnson. Heck, you could even take out Conklin. You have 88. You can have Harris, Johnson, and Claypool. Yeah, there's a bunch of lineups, man. I could be here all day doing this. There's so many different lineups you can have, and this game on paper looks like it could be a really good one, But let me know what you think in the comment section down below. What plays you may be making, like some of your favorite players that you're going to be looking to this week. If you think Dalvin Cook's going to play or not, if you think he's going to make it the whole game, all that good stuff. And yeah, don't forget to hit the like button. And I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Best of luck.